We don't have an ending time, so I have a short slide presentation that I would like to give you, and many of you have seen it before. And after the slide presentation, I have the microphone, and I'll take the microphone around to whoever wants to ask a question. And we'll spend as much time tonight taking questions from the audience as we need to. And then if you need to slip out at any time, you can. And if you want to stay several hours, you can. And I want to start by welcoming you to our public forum. I'm Dr. Neal, the superintendent. And I have thoroughly enjoyed being in Trussville. I just want to say that working here and living here has just been a wonderful experience for me, and I'm kind of new in town. So what I've been doing is listening to you all, listening to the people, and trying to devise a plan to solve problems. And since I'm new in town, I thought I would enlist helpers who are behind me in the form of an elementary steering committee last year and the current campaign committee to solve the problem. So I'll take this moment to turn it over to them and let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start with our Board of Education members, and I'll turn the microphone on and try to pass this down. And so testing.
Okay, I'm Danny Garrett.
I'm Gail Glenn.
Sid McNeil.
Stan Garrett.
Bill Roberts. George Glenn.
Bob Davis.
Fran Aldridge. Bonnie Hicks.
Diane Poole.
June Matthews.
I'm Tom Powers.
Gerald Glenn.
Tommy Johnson.
Alan Taylor.
Laura Reichert.
Arnold Reichert.
Donette Plant. Amy Aiken.
Patrick Campbell.
Melanie Glover.
Betsy Schmidt.
Beth Bruno.
Josh Watkins.
Lisa Berry. Heather Sandifer. Christy Stacks.
Rick Stotzer.
Thank you to my campaign committee and the elementary steering committee. This is the grassroots of the community, coupled with you all to help us solve problems and identify problems. We have a short video with some of these as the stars of our show to show right now, and then I'll start the slide presentation.
The better the school system is, the more people want to be part of that school system. And that's what brings new people into Trussville.
We have over 300 students in 13 portable buildings, and we can do so much better than this.
It's not the optimal learning environment. They're somewhat smaller.
For teachers, it's difficult. They're isolated.
The students have to walk from the portable building into the main building.
Every time they come in the building, they have to be prepared for the weather.
I can't lock down the Payne campus because I'll be locking the students and portables out of the building.
Parents have complained a little bit over the years about how rigid things are.
We're probably one of the few elementary schools anywhere that works on an 8-day schedule.
If you throw off lunch by 5 minutes with this many children, it can cause a problem.
We have changed our lunch schedule so that it is on certain days, and we can kind of control it so that we do have spaces for people to park and so that we can account for who's in our building.
We have 24 school buses that line up to pick up kids. So we have 510 cars come through the campus between 7:15 and 8:05. And that's a large amount of cars here at one time.
It's a challenge if we have any type of activity.
It would be nice not to have to worry about the traffic and be able to accommodate our parents and not say to them, you can't come because we have nowhere for you to park.
We could not find one location for 800 students that was adequate. We came up with the solution of renovating the historic high school for 400 K through 5 students and building new construction, a newly constructed school in the Magnolia Place area for 400 students.
Being able to be right there in your neighborhood, to participate in the activities, to go there on Sunday afternoon and to play on the playground, and just to be part of that community.
You can have a dedicated science resource room where when we do our hands-on science lessons, teachers wouldn't have to rearrange their entire room just to teach that lesson. They could go to that science lab.
The opportunity for leadership to emerge is so much greater in a small school. That I credit that is why I am who I am today.
We need so much done to our schools, and our schools are basic to the quality of our lives here in Trussville.
Well, a good school system drives property value for an area. We have people coming in looking for jobs or getting jobs, transferring into the Birmingham area. When they're trying to choose what suburb to live in, that's what they're going to look at.
It will raise the taxes, but at the same time, it's going to raise the value of the homes and the businesses that are here, and it'll offset that tax increase.
It's such a nominal amount to pay. Each of us would be paying so little each year to make our community so much better. And really, there's no reason not to vote for it.
Unfortunately, people in my age group and younger don't take the time to go vote. They're very supportive of our schools. They're very involved. They need to be involved the day of the vote.
This is everybody's community, and if you don't provide for the community and build it up, it's going to decline.
We calendar soccer games, baseball games, football games. This is what we need to schedule to keep those things being important in our community.
This is a very important vote, and we encourage you to vote for the Trussville City Schools plan to help us set the course for the future. I don't really want to be tied behind this mic, but I guess this is where I'll need to stand. Again, we are so excited about what this can mean for our Trussville City students. And the conditions we have right now at the Payne campus don't look like what Trussville City schools need to look like. So here comes my technology director. She just walks close to it and it starts to work. Thank you, Ms. Stacks. Last year, we started to ask people to help us identify the exact problems and create a solution for the problem. So I have about 15 slides that I want to go through with you quickly, and then I want to open it up for questions. So when I first arrived as superintendent, I saw a wonderful school system and a wonderful community, dedicated teachers, an active, involved Board of Education that I appreciate so much, and people that were saying to me, we have students in portable buildings, and our youngest students are in these portable buildings, and we don't feel like they're safe. And so we started to look at the capacity for Payne and the portable buildings and what that meant for students coming in and out of the weather. And then Newtown, Connecticut happened. Show of hands of who remembers the Newtown, Connecticut elementary school tragedy. That was an explosion in my inbox. I got over 500 emails from parents in the Payne campus and those who aren't even there yet to say, what happens if there is an intruder coming into a portable building? What do we have? So we enlisted police officers. Mayor Melton helped us increase our SROs. We start to patrol the campus. We are patrolling the campus more, and the SROs are helping us with the tremendous traffic. So it wasn't just about student safety. It was about overcrowding. And we have accreditation standards that require smaller class sizes than what we have right now. So we listed student safety, of course, as the first problem. Overcrowded classrooms and overcrowded school. We're far past our capacity at Payne. Traffic is horrendous, and the moms that are in the car line are overscheduled parents, and it's very stressful to have to sit there for 30 minutes or an hour twice a day to get the children to and from school. Most of our students live on the southern end of Highway 11. So the Payne campus is not really located close to where students live, and we wanted to provide that for the families and the students. We have additional subdivisions that are building out in Trussville, and I have a map over to the side next to the Board of Education that shows the subdivisions building out, and they're all over. We will have students filling up Payne from Longmeadow and Carrington. Glen Cross is not built out yet, and we can easily divide our student population and educate them close to where they live. And then I didn't know much about the old historic school in the Cahaba project area, but it's a gem. It is on the National Historic Register. It was built in the 1930s in the Roosevelt resettlement era. And there are so very few of them. It's special, and I think that it should be preserved. And then we talked about renovating that school, and we couldn't do it for more than 500 students. So what we needed was a school of 800, and we couldn't put all the students in the historic school. So when you look at where the students live, and you notice that they're over at the Magnolia Place, Hidden Trace, Glen Cross area, those students need to be educated close to their home too. So there is land available, 39 acres of land, which we only need 12. So if we position the school strategically, we can get as far away from Mary Taylor Road as we need to get. And then we've done a little soil testing, and we can avoid the rock and avoid the cost associated with new construction related to rock. So we have some leeway on that particular 39-acre site. So in identifying the problems, mainly having 300 students in 13 portable buildings, we started to look at solutions. And the Elementary Steering Committee last year took a look at the construction of the 2 elementary schools and the research supporting smaller school models. And this would equalize all 3 schools. Equality was a big deal, and we agree with that. All the schools need to be equal. And that would mean that we would educate students at the Payne campus. We would educate students at the renovated historic school in the mall area, and we would build a school in the Magnolia Place area for those students. So then the question was, what's in it for residents who don't have children in school or don't have elementary school children? All of these are K through 5 schools. And the answer was that also from the tornado that came through Trussville in 2010, it was about, well, we need a tornado shelter. My house is on a concrete slab. We heard that over and over again. And when you renovate or newly construct, you can put in the FEMA-approved tornado shelter for about $250,000. And the community that we were speaking to at the time thought that was certainly worth it. And then the question came, well, what happens if the tornado comes through at night? And I've spoken with the mayor, and there is a way, and Mr. Davis is here, my facilities coordinator. There is an access key for the law enforcement officer on patrol at night. And at the point that the tornado watch turns into a tornado warning, the school would be open for the community at night. No matter what time of day, 24/7, we'll have those tornado shelters. And so everybody was giving that a nod. So we spoke to the homeowners associations, and they thought that was a good thing. And Mr. Kirkland's here. He's my finance director, and he put the pencil to it, and we figured out that we could build the schools for a $5 million ad valorem increase, but to turn on the lights, put in the utilities, and operate those schools, we need $7 million. So we're not asking for any more than what we absolutely need. So the ballot reads construction, renovation, and operations. It's about paying the utilities on those schools. So on the next slide, I have a couple of pictures here, and then over here as well if you want to look later. This is the renovated school with a track for the community. We do want to keep a track, not the track. It's not a regulation track, but it will be a track for the community to use, so that's shown in the foreground. And you can see that we would renovate and restore and preserve the main hallway in the old gymnasium/auditorium in the right and left wings. And then we would fill in the basement and not use the basement at all. It's full of mold and mildew. If you've been in there lately, it's not worth it to mitigate that mold over and over and over again. And build some new classrooms on the back where the parents would drop off at Cherokee, on Cherokee Drive. So that would be the parent drop-off. And then the bus drop-off would be in the front where the columns are. The next slide just shows a rendition of the new construction. It doesn't have to look like that, but it's a design that I'm familiar with that does work for a school of 400 to 500 students. And then the next slide shows the proposed Magnolia Place Elementary School site. If you take a look at the yellow lettering, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the 39 acres that I talked about earlier. And this particular, let's see if I can get this to work. The Mary Taylor Road is in the back, and so we won't be busing students from Highway 11 and up to Mary Taylor Road. This shows Hidden Trace, Glen Cross, and Magnolia Place. And those houses, I call that New Trussville, and those houses would just use the school at the proposed site. So it's not a lot of busing that goes on, and it's not that anyone from the mall area would go over to that site. The people that live there would be educated there. So that's a picture from Dan Bass. Is he here tonight? Is Dan here tonight? Yeah. He had an aerial view taken, and he also has another picture of a tornado coming through. Quite a photographer he is. So let's take a look then. Oh, thank you. Good. Okay, thank you. So in terms of looking and highlighting the benefits for people who may not have a student in the K through 5 configuration, again, we would have the FEMA-approved tornado shelters. The slide presentation shows an increase in your home value if you have quality schools, but that was also mentioned by the realtors in the video that you saw earlier. And if you, on the flip side of that, if you have a poor school system or failing schools, your property value decreases. So the quality schools increase your home value. The old high school is one of the original buildings in the Cahaba project, and this particular plan would restore that building and use it for school. And it also changes the model of how Trussville educates children. And if you take a look at the map and you look at the Trussville city limits on the outline, we are still set up the way Jefferson County set us up. So once upon a time, Trussville was educated as part of Jefferson County. And these particular lines were drawn around the city limits, and when Trussville became a city school system, nothing changed. We're still operating like a Jefferson County school system. And so if you have the community school model and you have smaller schools and you educate children in the neighborhood where they live, you look more like Vestavia and Homewood and Mountain Brook. And I think that's what city school systems are designed to look like. So there are many benefits that go with this plan, even if you don't have children in school. That is an actual picture taken from Azalea Trace when the tornado came through, and there were many people that were almost devastated, and luckily that particular subdivision was not hit because the tornado jumped. But in the case of needing tornado shelters, we would have those in our community. So, speaking of Mountain Brook and Vestavia and Homewood, the question is, how do we rank right now on ad valorem tax compared to other cities and Jefferson County? So if you look at the rankings on the left side, you'll see that Leeds, Jefferson County, and Trussville are tied for 7 out of the 11 systems mentioned on the slide for the ad valorem tax, for the local millage for schools. And we're clustered at the bottom with Jefferson County, Trussville, Bessemer, and Tarrant. Now, if you look at the bottom slide, and if the ad valorem tax passes, Trussville becomes 5 out of 11, and we're then grouped in the top 5 with Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Midfield, Homewood, and then Trussville. So the question is, do we owe this to our students? Should we do this? And what is the benefit of that outside of the facility? Well, it increases the per pupil ratio. The per pupil expenses change. So and that's another way to look at the quality of education and the quality of your schools. So this slide shows information from the previous slide, but it's not a ranking in millage, it's a ranking by per pupil expense. So right now, Trussville is where the solid blue line is, and we're just below what Birmingham City funds for per pupil expense, per student per year. And if the $7 million increase passes on February 25th, then we'll be just about tied with Birmingham, but at least farther up the ladder than we are right now. But per pupil expenditure is directly related to student achievement, directly related to quality of facilities, and directly related to the quality of education. So we have worked then, on the next slide, it was about whether or not to go forward with this idea. So in November, every resident in Trussville got a letter and a survey from the mayor, because we weren't going to go forward with this if we got a negative result from the survey. And he had one question in the survey about whether or not we should go forward. I think it was question 7. And the responses and the response rate is listed on the screen, but we got a 54% positive response rate from the surveys that were sent out in November. That was a city services survey. You were asked about garbage pickup, you were asked about police and fire protection, and there was one question about the schools. So we thought 54% was excellent, because the response rate on these kinds of things is a straw poll, so to speak. But if it was extremely low, we wouldn't have gone forward with it. So the next question and the next slide is about, well, what do the educators think? Certainly let's ask the teachers, because the teachers know what kind of school model we need in Trussville to educate children, and the teachers know whether or not this is a good idea. And so we sent the same survey question that the mayor used. The exact question was sent to all the educators in Trussville, whether they lived here or not. We just wanted to know from the educators if they thought this was a good plan, and 87% thought it was a good plan. So that was overwhelming. We took the strongly agree and the agree, and we added those together and got 87% of the teachers gave it a thumbs up. So we said, okay, let's go. Let's have a special election. So the Board of Education and the City Council worked together with all of the information that we had before us, and we've planned a special election with one item on the ballot, and this is it, for February 25th, and that's a week from tonight. So the question is, before you go to vote, how much will this cost me? What will it cost? So there is a specific formula, and you can go to the Department of Revenue and get how to figure it yourself, but we did that on the basis of a $100,000 appraisal, $200,000 appraisal, and $300,000 home appraisal. So if you have a home that's appraised at $100,000 and you pay your mortgage once a month and you pay your property tax through your escrow account, your increase is $5.83 a month. And if you pay your property tax a year, it's $70 a year. Going on up with the $200,000 appraised value of the home, paying a monthly escrow property tax, it would be $11.66 a month. $11.60 more a month. And that's the average in Trussville. So for the big, beautiful homes at $300,000, it's $17.50 a month at the max. So we've rounded that to kind of an average of $12 a month because the average home in Trussville is between $200,000 and $250,000 on the average. So we also put the pencil to what the 1 mill brings and what 7 mills would bring. 1 mill brings about $300,000, and the 7 mills would bring us about $2.1 million. And there are always questions in these meetings about, will that be enough? But that would be used specifically for the new construction and the renovation and the operations of the 2 new schools. It's as clear as we can possibly make it. There is nothing hidden here. And we've sent letters and we've made presentations to anyone who would listen. So, how do we know that 7 mills is enough? And so what happens to the $2.1 million generated per year from the 7 mills? We have looked at pre-construction amounts. We've looked at cost per square footage. We've looked at a variety of interest rates. Now, that's not a variable interest rate like a mortgage, but we looked at a variety of interest rates because we don't know what the interest rate will be when we take out this loan. So we looked at a variety and kind of hit it in the middle. There are also different rates if you pay fees up front or if you don't pay fees up front. So we looked at every possible scenario to afford these 2 schools and tried to be generous in our estimate because we're going into the future where we think things will be a little more expensive and today's dollars won't be tomorrow's dollars. So we estimated $1.8 million per year for the school debt, leaving $300,000 per year. We went to the Payne campus and took a look at their square footage and their utility cost per square foot and came up with approximately $275,000 for the annual utilities and lawn care out of the $300,000, leaving, I call it wiggle room, but on the slide it says residual balance of about $25,000 to work with. So we think we're pretty close in conveying to the people, this is what we need, this is what it will cost, and this is how we're going to use the money. So there are sample ballots that have been sent out, and this is a slide showing the sample ballot. And we had to use legalese, and I was involved in crafting the ballot, and I wanted it to be just as clear as it possibly could be, and this is the best we could do. But it is for, and if you read like the 4th line from the bottom of the paragraph, it's for only for new construction, renovation, additions, and operations of Trussville City Schools for 25 years. So we are thinking that our school debt, or mortgage as we call it, would be about a 25-year mortgage, and we would not ask for the tax longer than we needed it. We thought that was fair. So that's what the ballot looks like. And the vote is a week from today. And we hope that everyone will get out and vote. And given the information from tonight, we hope that you'll agree that this is a good plan and you'll vote for it. We have Twitter and Facebook pages that are also listed if you want more information from Twitter and Facebook. And then there is a pamphlet that was mailed out to you this weekend showing the 12 most frequently asked questions. And I hope that those 12 questions came to you and helped answer some of the questions that you might have. But that's the end of my slide presentation. So I will leave you with the 12 most frequently asked questions, and we have some additional pamphlets if you didn't get one. But I'm looking forward to opening the microphone to you all. And we have committee members here, we have council members here, the mayor is here, and school board members have been introduced. So I would like for the mayor and city council members to stand up. You all haven't been introduced yet. So this is Mayor Melton, Mr. Plant, Mr. Choate, okay, Mr. Cook. Oh, Mr. Taylor. Thank you all for being here. So I am open to questions. I'm looking forward to your questions. And in the previous forums and meetings, we've had outstanding questions from the audience. So.